Hello, I hope your day is going well. Today we're going over how to do a VLOOKUP formula. This is one of the most popular formulas in Excel, and just to get straight into it, I prepared two examples. One is just about on fruits with quantity and price, just in two columns to the right are just the first three fruits I thought of. And a second example is just on different credit scores, and let's get straight into it. So if I'm like, looking up something, like say I want to get the price of what apples are from this table here, all I'd have to do is do equals VLOOKUP, and then I can type out the whole formula, or I could click tab, and then just immediately populates. What each of these things are, this is a lookup value, so this is actually what we are trying to look up from a table, starting with the leftmost column. So if I click apples, for instance, I can just click that, and then comma. The next step is to insert a table array. So I could select this like entire table. Alternatively, I could also just select the entire the three columns here. But just to keep it simple, I'm going to select this table here, these 12 cells. Column index, that is the number of the column in the table you've selected in this red table here that you want to retrieve the corresponding value of your apples from. So if I put in 2, for instance, I would get the quantity of the apples. If I put in 3, I would get the price per fruit. So if just in this case, let's just say I'm just trying to look for the price per fruit here, I would put in 3. And then this fourth argument here, this range lookup, this determines whether or not we are looking for an exact match or an approximate match. In my experience, usually the approximate match is more for like numbers, rather than like our lookup value is usually a numerical figure, not like a categorical figure like apples, or like a label, something like that. So in this case, we're just going to put a 0, which is similar to false, which is an exact match. Alternatively, you could type false, but they're equivalent. And then with 1, that would be a true. So I'm going to put in a 0, press enter, and so I get the lookup result, which is 3. Just not formatted the same way. I'm going to change that real quick. Now let's say I wanted to change this on the fly, because I don't want to change this from go into the formula here and change it from A2 to A3 and so on. One thing I could do is I could just set it equal to this lookup value here, and then when I press enter, this is going to give me an NA error because, well, I put in a blank here, and it's trying to look up a blank. But let's say I put in some apples, so you get our lookup result back. If I put in some oranges, I get $2. If I put in some pears, I get the $5. So you kind of get the picture. This is just a very simple table, but imagine if you had like 4,000 rows or 40,000 rows with like 20 different columns. It can get very difficult very quickly, but that's just the first example. Is just trying to make these kind of simple and straightforward. I mean, obviously you can expand this out in a million different ways and make it 100 times harder, but cool. Next up, we have the example 2. So this is just I'm just making this up, but so let's say you're looking at like your credit score, which is your like a figure that just determines how likely you are to repay back a loan. And I just I'm for example, say I'm like a banker or something, and I just put down that the quality of like a credit score that's like 550 is low. That if it's 650, that's like normal, that's like kind of on par. And then 750, getting close to like 800 is like high. Like this is like in one case where like a higher number is better. Let's say I'm looking up a value for a particular person, who has, say, I don't know, like a 630 credit score. So this is where the approximate match will come in. So if I try doing a VLOOKUP, I select this lookup value here, and then I select this table right here. And then for the column index, I put in 2 because we're trying to return the second column corresponding to the 630. If I put in a 0, this is gonna, or a false, you know, they're equivalent. I'm gonna get an NA error because 630 is nowhere in this table right here. So what you want to do is you want to use the approximate match, and this will return the value that is closest, or that is, if it's like in a range or like a column with numbers here, it's gonna return the value that is below the lookup value, and not the next one up. So here's what I mean. It's gonna return low because 630, or a credit score is 630. It's below the normal threshold, but it is above the 550, so it's still considered low. And actually, if I change this to 649, it's still low, but the moment it's 650, I get normal. So yeah, anyways, that's just a quick run through of the different VLOOKUP ways to use a VLOOKUP formula. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, or let me know, and thanks. Hope you have a great day.